I can imagine the sigh of relief from the parents and every family member who has had to go through all of this very difficult experience as far as this abduction is concerned. But we're glad they are back, and commendation to all of the security agencies and the government. And our thoughts, our prayers are with the families of those who lost their lives, including our gallant soldiers and other personnel as well, including the teachers who died in this particular very sad episode in our national history. Let's bring in my guest is a retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, DIG Abutu Yaro, joins us virtually. DIG, thank you so much for coming on the program. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Let's talk about that operation that led to this. 56 days and counting, that's the total number of days. We understand these people were in the abductors then, and it was pressure from the public. Fortunately for them, nobody let this off. The security agencies, everybody, there was pressure on government, both at the federal and the state level, and the security agencies to ensure that they are released safely. Sadly, certain persons, the gentleman, the teacher who was murdered the very first few days, and then we understand another teacher, I think, also lost his life because when the governor was giving the statistic of how many people were released, as well as we're also happy that all of the children returned, but some of our soldiers, I think a few of our soldiers died in this process. But where I'm going to with recounting all of this, we understand there were extraordinary measures that were taken to persuade this dastardly element to do what they have to do in ensuring that no one was hurt. Should that be our new move, or this has always been our MO, or this is a unique one?
Thank you very much. This is a very unique one, and it has laid a very fantastic template for further engagement. That is to say, in our quest to reassert our security authority over our people, over our territory, we must be on the lookout, especially this time around, when some of these terrorists have local relatives, friends, and associates. And of course, since it's become a notorious fact now that indigenous Nigerians are part of these terrorist squads, and these Nigerians have relatives, family, friends scattered in diverse locations. The new unique approach now requires engaging their relatives in the investigation, and certainly is constitutional that when an odious crime takes place, persons who know the perpetrators will be called by the state authority or by institutional authority to seek for their cooperation in that inquiry or in that investigation. And it's really, practicing that model has aided us tremendously in arriving at the result we got. However, the fact that we lost one of our promising officers still leaves a dark spot in our mind. A promising young man of 28 years, Lieutenant Isaac, died in the process. And I believe that he has died as a hero, and may God repose his soul. But as we move ahead as a nation, this unique template infused into fighting terrorism will continue to dominate our sensibility now and our standard operation manual. And I believe as the days go by or as we move forward, we are going to triumph and Nigeria will prevail. Thank you.
Still staying on this matter, let's stay with the MO of getting relatives. What messaging is the government reeling out through this particular method in terms of being complicit, in terms of accommodating, or in terms of literally looking out for anyone who is engaged in this? I'm happy you mentioned that if they have local family members, so that is a provisor in this sense. Now, this is prevalent especially in the north, where we see loads of mass abductions cascading down south. So what do you think communities should start doing now that the government has said, if this is the extraordinary measure we will have to take, we will take it, no matter whose ox is God? What are the communities meant to start doing now to make sure that they are not in this very difficult position where unscrupulous elements who are family members can put them in?
And that is, it goes without saying that the established mantra that you see something, say something, that mantra has been part of our national lexicon over the while. And this is a better time to practice it. What that means is that a relative, a neighbor, a co-resident, or somebody of the same social interaction with you, who you know is part of the bad group tormenting the society, you have to expose them. And if you don't expose them timelessly, whenever situations like this exist, you may be forced to come and give account of your relationship with those people. And in respect of that kind of circumstance, you may find it, or you will certainly find it a little bit more inconveniencing. So driving the point home harder, we are saying that with this experience, we as community members, we as village members, we as street members, we should be able to expose the bad element in our midst, regardless of the nature of our relationship with them, regardless of the fact that the man or the woman may be your sibling, it may be your husband, it may be your wife, it may be your brother or whatever. In as much as that guy or that person has adopted to criminality, particularly aggravated criminality in the form of terrorism, we should be able to expose them as individuals, as community, as society. And if we fail to operate in the way we are canvassing, the consequences will be much more. Because looking at the provisions of our law, especially the criminal code, there are extant provisions there that tend to say that if you know a criminal and you are aware of the issues pertaining to him and you fail to divulge it, when that criminal is found in the net, certainly you may be arrested as an accessory after the fact of crime. That is Section 7E of the Criminal Code. So I want to use this opportunity to appeal to our population that exposing criminals and terrorists is a civic duty. We as nationals, we need to expose them now. Whereas normal governmental institutions that apprehend them, they are willing, ready, able, and always taking necessary action. We should be able to volunteer information now and expose the bad elements in our midst. Therefore, communities and societies in many places in the country that are ravaged by terrorism, they owe this country a duty, and they owe themselves the duty to now become informants to security agents instead of becoming informants to terrorists and criminals. Because if you fail to divulge information and these people are apprehended from your community, or when they commit, the authority will certainly look for you and bring you for interrogation. And certainly by so doing, you wouldn't claim, you are not supposed to claim ignorance because you have relationship with these persons. So exposing criminals, that's the best thing for us to do at this point in time. And I so plead with all of us as people of the same country to do the needful in this direction so that our fight against terrorism will have a new critical addition. Because once we are exposing them, certainly the crime fighters and the defense forces will have an easier assignment to do. But when the population, the village, the community remain quiet, trading information with them, certainly we are inviting collective calamity. And that's not the best for us as a country. And this is an eye-opener.
Out of curiosity, let me ask DIG on if you compare, we've had good number, one of the highest record numbers when it comes to the Papiri incidents, where we had debatable numbers around 300. 300 young children were abducted in that particular, and their teachers, by the way. But this is about less than 50 persons. But the level of pressure from public, from the level of awareness, as far as this particular Papiri case, not Papiri now, Oriire is concerned, looks to be uniquely strong. I may say stronger than the other ones we've had in recent time. Why do you think that is? Oh dear. We hope we can get DIG Abutu Yaro back. He's a former Deputy Inspector General of Police who was joining us virtually. We hope the weather can also allow us to have this conversation because is the man on ground who understands how these things. He served the Nigerian police, so he understands a lot about how these things happen. My question, DIG, in case we're able to get you back, I see that there was a lot of pressure with this Oriire case. Now, nobody was letting off. There were protests in several parts of the country, including in Ibadan itself, to make sure the government acts. But we see other parts of the country, maybe the northern part of the country, even with the Papri case, I don't know how much pressure was there, just like this one. So we're looking at what has happened with Oriire, and so that we can replicate it as a model, we hope there will not be an incident of another set of mass abduction, because we cannot be a playing field for terrorists to have their field day right here in Nigeria. But DIG, I don't know if we can get you back, but meanwhile, let's bring you. All right, sounds the local government election in Edo State. Let's bring back our guest, DIG Abutuyaro. DIG, thanks for staying with us. We understand the network couldn't allow you here. I don't know whether you got my question. I was trying to ask what was uniquely different in terms of this particular Oriire case, because if you compare it with the Papri incident and maybe others, the level of pressure that came on this particular case was different. The question, why I'm asking this is so we can replicate this. We hope there will not be mass abduction. So what was uniquely different about Oriire that the nation refused to move on until we got the solution we wanted?
Yeah, what was uniquely different is as follows. One, the sympathetic age range of the victims was something that was inconceivable. Remember, one of the schools raided was a nursery school with victims as young as children of 2 years, 1.5 years. That was a unique circumstance. Number two, this incident took place within the least expected zone in our country, particularly that Oyo general area was not within the context of our contemplation of active terrorist cell operating. Number three, the context of that happenstance was exacerbated by the fact that the terrorists were this time around making a unique demand on us as a country that their accomplices who were held at Agodi prison over similar offenses should be released. So that kind of unusual circumstance and the confidence in demanding prison swap was a more aggravated format of the terrorism game play existing in our country before now. And that was why the national consciousness became tilted and concentrated on this particular incident. And that was why two extraordinary measures were employed, particularly with respect to picking up and interrogating their relatives and acquaintances. Because this time around, they were making similar demand, telling us as a country to release their own acquaintance, who is already convicted of terrorism and was serving prison sentence. So these are the unique circumstances that really, in my view, triggered the national response mechanism that helped us to attain this formidable and positive result.
All right, DIG, let me come in here. We're going to go live to our DSTV platform. But one of the questions I will ask you, DIG, is what we need to do in terms of preparation for, will I call it a reprisal, their own response? We will be naive to think that they'll go to sleep with what we've done to them in this particular incident. Some were neutralized, some were arrested. We understand they'll be arraigned pretty soon. So I would like you to talk to us about how we need to prepare for potential reprisal, if you would, or counterattack by this element. But we will now cross over to Osun State, that's Oshogbo, for our live coverage of the Kimpact Development Initiative Stakeholders Forum on Osun Election, Peace and Security Summit, organized by Kimpact and other partners, taking place in Oshogbo, the state capital. But that will be only on our DSTV platform. The program continues on all other platforms. So, DIG, let's stay with what you think should be the preparations against Ansaro and their elements, because I will not be surprised that they are planning another one.
Hello?
Yeah, did you hear my question?
Yeah, or what we are supposed to do with respect to preparation to avert reprisal.
Yes.
For this particular case, simple. What we need to do as a country or as a security institution is to go on all-out war for these people.